Sports in the law. Sports in the law. Sports in the law. Sports in the law.
That's not how you tore your anterior cruciate ligament.
Not on the
falling
motorcycle.
off the motorcycle
no.
bike.
That's how I get here.
But Madison Bumgarner got hurt. You did tear your ACL. We should tell the audience.
Yes, I did. That's why I felt I was qualified for quarterback at 40.
You have kinship with Jimmy Garoppolo. How long did it take you to heal from the ACL tear?
A couple of months.
All right, he's back. And you brought your Moskowitz cheering section here.
That's right, I did.
We could have our own
studio audience, and I brought them.
We can have our own collusion here.
Very good. I think we should.
We can see if we're guilty of collusion later on.
Absolutely.
Well, let's start. Eric Reid, we opened the show with it, the former 49er first-round draft pick safety, unemployed for a long, long time. Of course, he's one, along with Eli Harold, that knelt next to Colin Kaepernick in the protest against what's going on in our country and the police brutality. And he didn't have a job for a long, long time. He did get a job today, but he did file a collusion grievance, as did Colin Kaepernick. So how does this impact his collusion grievance? Because he's saying the NFL owners colluded to prevent him from getting a job, when in fact he now does have a job.
That's his allegation, but his allegation goes to past actions. So, for example, if half or even one or two of the owners colluded with each other, the fact that somebody else didn't wouldn't save him. That's what he's trying to prove, that two or more of the owners got together and said, not this guy, he's kneeling next to Colin, punishment for him.
And we've talked about this. This is an extremely hard thing to prove, right? I mean, you have to have hard evidence.
Right. And normally when people get together to do things they shouldn't, they don't say, here, let me write you an email on that. If it was going to happen at all, there might have been some conversation. But again, the owners maintain they never, ever, ever dreamed of colluding against anybody.
Okay, so let's say they are able to prove damages, then what?
That's a big step.
So let's just say they are. So what are the damages? The damages would be, in my thought, although you can obviously you're the lawyer here, would be some kind of a monetary figure. Would it be offset now by the fact he just got a job? So whatever wages he lost, you just recoup those in week 4 of the season. So whatever damages he had would be lessened by him getting a job today?
Oh, no, not at all. Because he'd say, look, here's not only the compensatory damages, what he lost when he wasn't playing, but the big one, my personal favorite, is punitive damages, where you say, you know what? The conduct of the other side was so egregious that they have to be held out as an example and punished, so you get a lot more than your actual compensatory damage. That's the big one, punies.
And if he's filing a grievance against the NFL, that's all 32 teams' owners, but now the Carolina Panthers have given him a job.
That's right.
Do you take the Panthers off that list, or if he wins, they're paying as well, even though they've basically given him the job?
That would be a business. Remember, somebody on the Panthers could have done the bad act and then later on changed his mind. But as a practical business matter, he might want to really rethink that.
And also, the Panthers had an ownership change.
Yeah, what if it was
when
their
this
old
was
owner?
going on, a different man owned the team that owns them now. So Jerry Richardson may be culpable. The new owner, David Tepper, would say that was done before I got here. I gave the guy a job.
Not my job.
Yeah. So how does this work? Where it's not an actual courtroom, or is it? I mean, is it like a courtroom? It's going to be a hearing. I assume it's not going to be on television, although that would be fabulous theater.
It would be nice.
Yeah, either on NFL Network or Court TV, I'm not sure. But is it treated like a courtroom where they call witnesses, and the first witness is Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys? Please come to the stand. So
what happens is you're going to swear people in under penalty of perjury, but most of the court work is done outside of the courtroom. The way to think of the courtroom is like the Olympics. That's the once in the 4 years where you're running around the track, but most of the work is done in a gym, sweating and training and straining. You don't see it. That's where you see all these things. For example, depositions, discovery. The heart of a lawsuit is discovery, where you find out, now tell me the truth, and then you keep asking the same questions over and over again. And in written form, in verbal form, then you compare them and you say, aha, and then you can use that to either settle, which most of the cases do, or go ahead and impeach the witness if he says something on the stand. Say, wait a minute, I asked you that in deposition. You said something differently.
You think any way Colin Kaepernick would show up? Reid's got a job now, but would Kaepernick show up for this? Would that be advisable?
Well, first of all, you have to be a party. Any party can go ahead and show up for any of the proceedings. It's oftentimes, sometimes a good idea, sometimes it's not, and that's a decision the lawyer and the parties have to make.
Mark Garagos is his lawyer.
I'm going to throw a curveball at you, throw a different story at you. We have a couple to get to, but this one was funny.
I know,
because this one was funny, and I think everybody's been talking about it all week. The ballpark worker at Comerica Park in Detroit that was found and arrested for spitting on a pizza.
I'm sorry.
I was actually yeah.
Well, now I'm not having pizza for dinner.
I was going to say, like, so he was actually, it was on video. It showed up on Instagram. He was arrested on felony and misdemeanor food law violations for spitting on a pizza, which that makes me think about.
Pizza that bad?
But yeah, it makes
Why
me
did he
think
do
about,
it?
I don't know. I haven't talked to him personally, but if you're the person who you see your pizza getting spit on Instagram,
I
now
wouldn't
you're the
eat
person.
it.
Do you?
You said you wanted everything on it.
Do you have a lawsuit against a number of like the team, Comerica? They usually have like a catering place, and the individual who was fired, by the way.
So normally what you do is you try to sue everybody in the chain, anybody that remotely could be involved, and then what happens is the defendants will say, well, wait a minute, I had nothing to do with this, and try to get out. But you're looking for somebody with the money, not the actual spitter, shall I say.
You know, we've all had something probably happen.
You really did throw
That's why you have a good immune system.
Okay, the Flyers. Flyers have a player that from Finland that's involved in a large cocaine ring, believed to be, considered to be. And he's one of 23 suspects. He is denied committing the crime, but the police made catches on his cottage during the summer when he was not present. And we're talking about cocaine. So,
well, there was a lot of snow there, that's true.
And it happened out of the country.
There is a lot of snow. Well done. If that's your place, you're not there, but there is a drug ring going through your property. Whether you were involved or not, are you liable for all of that?
So there's different rules. If that happened here in the States, you'd lose. If you owned the house, you would lose it. But if you had nothing to do with it, you wouldn't be blamed. For example, right now in your house, you don't know, somebody could have broken in and be doing a drug deal right now. The bottom line is you would not be culpable for that. You wouldn't have anything to do with it, other than losing the property, which sometimes happens when some parent's kid has some drugs and the feds come and take the house. But his position, I'm sure, and especially we talk about cottage, is this some remote area that somebody broke into? So the bottom line is, remember, you have a presumption of innocence, and he's saying, look, you know, I wasn't even there, maybe somebody broke in, who knows what happened. But burden of proof's on the accused.
And it is complicated a bit because this happened out of the country, which and he's about to begin a season in the country.
He's going to say he had nothing to do with it.
Yeah. Just lastly, before we let you go, and we brought up these issues of these random drug testings with the tennis circuit as well, but Joe Hadden began his career with Cleveland. Pittsburgh Steeler played a Monday night game in Tampa. They get home at the crack of dawn. You know, it's a long flight. They get home at like 2 in the morning, and he has to take a random drug test. Now, they did tip him off about its randomness, that it's going to come when we land. I don't know how.
At 3 o'clock in the morning, they're going to have
but I mean, does the collective bargaining agreement spell out specifics on if you just wait? We just landed. I played a football game. Can we do this in the morning? Does he have to
I'm sure
give into
they're
that?
Talk about it in the next one. But the problem is they didn't specify, like, you'll do the random drug test between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. And if you think about it, some drugs could leave the system a lot quicker than others. So somebody might say, well, look, I wanted to test them right after the game. That was a better time than waiting until the next day. Since there's no prohibition in the collective bargaining agreement, it was okay. Now, he didn't like it. It upset him. But also, there were 7 other players there, too. So the bottom line is, hey, they were just saying, look, business as usual.
And that's the key. They often do test right after a game. And in this case, it happened to be after a Monday night game, and they got in at the break of dawn.
All right. Steve Moskowitz. Appreciate
Always
your
a pleasure. Thanks.
C.J. Bethard, Nick Mullen, Steve Moskowitz.
When you order pizza, make sure you inspect.
No pizza tonight.
Inspect your pizza from here on out.
Expect
win tickets if you're a 49ers fan. You get a chance to meet Greg Papa as well. Take